surely fulfilled his promise to you when, with his will, were killing them off, until you showed weakness and disputed in the matter and disobeyed after he had shown you what you liked. Among you were some who were seeking the mundane, and among you were those who were seeking the hereafter. After that he reversed your position against them, so that he may test you. Of course, he has forgiven you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is gracious to the believers. So this whole discussion of Surah Ali Imran, the context of this is the Battle of Uhud. That's what's being discussed at this time. The Battle of Uhud. So last week we spoke about the 6 wisdoms of the Muslims facing setbacks during the Battle of Uhud. Because in the Battle of Badr, despite having even less people and even less supplies, the Muslims were victorious. And in Uhud, the Muslims initially, they were victorious. It looked like they were doing amazing, that they were going to win, that it was going to be a repeat of the Battle of Badr. However, that wasn't the case, right? The Muslims ended up actually suffering a setback. It wasn't really a loss because the mushrikeen of Makkah, they didn't achieve their goal either. But the Muslims, they didn't win in the way that they envisioned winning. So it was kind of like a mutual, you could call a draw. Both sides, they lost. It was a battle of attrition, and nobody could really say that they were a clear winner at the end. Okay? So we talked about the wisdoms of that last week, and we already talked about the background of the Battle of Uhud, and why, how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he positioned the archers, and all of that. So inshallah we could try to, just keep those things in mind. And there's recordings from previous weeks if you want to recall them. Muzammil, were you able to get it? Yeah, so if you want to recall that, inshallah. So now we're moving on. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is contrasting over here the oversight of the people who Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam instructed to stay on this mountain pass. No matter what happens, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, don't leave your position. Even if you see animals, birds coming and eating our flesh, don't move from there. Right? But when it so turned out that the Muslims, they happened to be, winning, when it looked like they were victorious, it looked like the mushrikun were fleeing, the 40 of the 50 archers who Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam appointed, they said that, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was just saying that for emphasis. He didn't really mean just to stay here. All of our companions, they're getting, spoils of war, we want it as well. Let's go and get it. We should take part in it as well. So out of the 50 archers that were appointed there, 40, they went down into the battle, 10 remained. Khalid bin Walid, who was not who hadn't accepted Islam at that time, he was leading one of the flanks of the mushrikun army. He saw that and he came and he attacked the Muslims from the back. The mushrikun who were fleeing, they saw that and they sandwiched the Muslims, and it led to all sorts of, hardships. So now what is happening is contrasting the shortcomings or the mistake, it was a mistake, everybody makes mistakes. The mistake that the Sahaba radiallahu anh made in the Battle of Uhud, positive mention is made of the pious companions of the prophets of the past. Because remember, just as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the best of all prophets, the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam are the best of the companions of all of the prophets. And we've talked about that at length. Why? Because the companions of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they're mahfuz. They're not ma'soom, meaning they're not protected divinely from committing any sin, but they're protected from committing sin without making tawbah. Why? Because Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his bi'sa, him being sent, was twice. He was sent to all of mankind, but the only audience that he really reached was the Arab Peninsula. And after that, his Sahaba radiallahu anh, they were sent as messengers of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the rest of the world, right? And that's the wisdom of Islam being revealed in our Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam being in Makkah as opposed to being in China or South Africa or America. Within 20 years of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, less than that, 10 years of or so of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam passing, Islam has reached all the way to almost China on one side, and on the other side you're getting to Spain and North Africa. right? But anyway, that's a different story for a different time. So all Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is doing here is He's mentioning the pious people of the past. So وَكَأَيٍّ مِّن نَبِيٍّ قَاتَلَ مَعَهُ رِبِّيُّونَ كَثِيرٌ. So there were many Ribbiyun, there's different ways of translating it. Some scholars, they say it's from the word Rabb. Rabb is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning the creator, the nourisher, and the sustainer. And Rabbani, right? Like Mufti Rabbani Sahab. Rabbani is a person who is connected to their Rabb, right? Somebody who's close with their Rabb, Rabbani. So in Surah Al Imran earlier, in the end of third juz, Kunu Rabbaniyin, be Rabbani. So they say Rabbani, it's this Ribbiyun is also from there. Because Mufti Shafi Rahimahullah chooses this translation. Mufti Taqi chooses this translation. So they translate it as men of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning they weren't just any soldiers. They were those soldiers who were connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Others they translate it as from the word ribba, meaning like a group. But perhaps the better translation here is men of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there were many men of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَكَأَيٍّ مِّن نَبِيٍّ قَاتَلَ مَعَهُ رِبِّيُّونَ كَثِيرٌ. So how many prophets they fought before Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and with them were many men of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. رِبِّيُّونَ كَثِيرٌ. فَمَا وَهَنُوا. They didn't lose heart. They didn't wilt under the pressure. They didn't become cowardly. فَمَا وَهَنُوا فَمَا وَهَنُوا لِمَا أَصَابَهُم, due to the conditions that afflicted them. In battle, all sorts of things happen, right? فَمَا وَهَنُوا لِمَا أَصَابَهُم فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's path. وَمَا ضَعُفُوا, nor did they weaken. وَمَا اسْتَكَانُوا. Istakanu is also to be weak, to be like, without any energy, to lose all of your motivation, right? وَمَا اسْتَكَانُوا. They didn't do any of this. Because when one goes out into the path of Allah, right, there's hardships that are associated with it. Now, to be fair, okay, so I'm going to go on my tangent now. I'm going to try to say everything very gentle, right? In the Quran, when it says fi sabilillah, in the Hadees, when it says fi sabilillah, what's it referring to? It's referring to jihad. Jihad. This is the ultimate sabilillah. There's other ways to go in sabilillah, right? If a person is teaching, they're in sabilillah. If a person goes in tabligh, mashallah, some brothers are going tonight to Columbus, this is fi sabilillah, right? If people are doing da'wah to non-Muslims, this is fi sabilillah as well. All of these are for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the ahadith and the Quranic ayahs that are revealed, they're about jihad, right? So for one group or another to say that fi sabilillah, to apply every ayah of fi sabilillah, every hadith of fi sabilillah to them, that's not right. At the same time, speaking specifically about Tablighi Jamaat, this is a great effort. Great effort. Hundreds and thousands of people's lives have changed through it, right? And just like every effort of deen, it's people that are doing it. Human beings are doing it. Islam is perfect. Muslims are not perfect, right? Human beings are not perfect. There's mistakes. Tabligh, it also has some shortcomings, right, in the system. There's, things that can be critiqued about it and suggestions that ulama have made, and there's all of that, and all of that is in its place. But the fact remains that hundreds and thousands of people have changed their life, and people are going out with what? The intention to call other people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're not getting any glory in that. It's not fun to eat cream cheese and honey, right? And to go and stay in random cold places. None of that is fun. You're just going to call people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for, the people like the Saudi government to give khutbahs, coordinated campaign against this movement is a sin. And these same people are throwing wild concerts, limiting Hajj, limiting Umrah, and having concerts with 100, 200, 300,000 people showing up. And they're proud of that. And then they're giving khutbahs against those who are calling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then the king is saying to everybody, make salatul istisqa and make dua for Allah to send the rain and abstain from sins. The reason that your rain isn't coming is because of that, right? Because of all of the things that you're doing. And the few people that are trying to do something positive, that are doing some good, what's happening? They're being, censured and spoken against on the minbar. The way of the Muslims is not to call everybody out, right? If you see a Muslim brother trying to do something good, if they're doing something bad, you have to stop it at some point. If you see Muslim brothers trying to do something good, but their ways may be mistaken, or their methods may be, may be mistaken, then you could suggest it. You could say things to them nicely, with hikmah, right? Like I'll give you an example with tabligh. Many ulama, especially in the Arab world, for a'mal, or for the ta'aleem, what they use instead of fazail a'mal is they use riyadh al-salihin. It's the hadith in there, right? It's all fine and good, but if you're going to use fazail, it's fine. But we have to, whenever we talk to others, we have to talk with hikmah, okay? Anyway, coming back to this point, whenever you go in the path of Allah, whether it be jihad, whether it be tabligh, whether it be da'wah to non-Muslims, whether it be teaching, obstacles are going to come. Now, how are the men of Allah? If you want to be from the Rabbaniyin, if you want to be from the men of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can't give up. You can't become weak. The first time a hardship comes, if you say, I'm not going to do this, then you're not going to get anywhere. You won't be from the Rabbaniyin. You have to be willing to face whatever challenges there are. See everything through. Say that, as they say, come hell or high water, I'm going to see this to the end. Either I'm going to die doing this, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, this is his attitude, or inshallah I'm going to be successful. And remember, success doesn't come in results. Success comes in efforts. Nuh alayhi salam in 950 years, how many people believed in him?
Very few people.
Yeah, little, less than 80. Maybe 80, maybe around 80. Then you have people who visited different countries, like Wahajuddin Chishti, Ajmeri, rahimahullah. He came to India. In one trip in India, 800,000 people, they accepted Islam. Hindus will see this man, they look at him, they'll accept Islam. So was he better than Nuh alayhi salam? 800,000 people compared to 80? No, never, right? One can be equal to a prophet. Dr. Zakir Naik, how many people have become Muslim through his efforts? He's doing good work, great work, right? But at the same time, does that make him better than Nuh alayhi salam? No, never, ever, ever. Because he's a prophet of Allah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at the efforts. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at the ikhlas. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at your dependence on Him. Allah doesn't look at the results. And that's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. So فَمَا وَهَنُوا لِمَا أَصَابَهُمْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَمَا ضَعُفُوا وَمَا اسْتَكَانُوا وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الصَّابِرِينَ. Verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves. Over here is translated as steadfast rather than patient. Because remember, usually we say sabr. What does sabr mean? Patience. Everybody says patience, patience, patience. But you're not doing justice to the word sabr. Because sabr is a very vast word. And it encompasses many things. So sabr means there's sabr ala ta'ah. To continuously be patient on doing good deeds, right? Because there's a level of consistency that's needed. You can't just say, I'm going to pray one time and that's it. I'm just going to pray in Ramadan on 27th night of Ramadan, and on Shab-e Barat and Shab-e Miraj. These are the days I'm going to pray and that's it. Other days I'll be in the masjid the whole night, these 3 nights, and that's it. It doesn't work like that. Shab-e Barat meaning Nisf Sha'ban, right? And 27th of Rajab, I'll be in the masjid the whole night. No, that won't work. That's not enough, right? What we need to do is we need to be consistent on our good deeds. Similarly, to abstain from bad deeds. There's an opportunity to do a bad deed. You stay away from it. Do you think your life is going to be happily ever after? Then no. There's going to be other opportunities to do bad deeds again and again and again and again. What do we have to do? We have to stay away from these each and every time. It's hard, but you have to be patient, right? And then there's the patience that we think of. Sabr inda al-musibah. Some difficulty happens, somebody you love dies, something happens to you, you get in a crash, you get sick. You do sabr at that time, you're patient, you don't complain, you say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. So if you look at all of these meanings, a better word than patience for sabr is steadfastness. Wallahu yuhibbu sabirin. Allah loves those who are steadfast. وَمَا كَانَ قَوْلَهُمْ. Now what did these people say when they were fighting? Their only speech, their only statement was that رَبَّنَا اغْفِرْ لَنَا. O our Rabb, our Lord, our nourisher, our sustainer, our creator, forgive our sins. وَإِسْرَافَنَا. And forgive our excesses, meaning our shortcomings. فِي أَمْرِنَا. In this matter of ours. وَثَبِّتْ أَقْدَامَنَا. And make our feet firm. وَانْصُرْنَا عَلَى الْقَوْمِ الْكَافِرِينَ, and assist us, help us. Now the word nasara, what does nasara mean? Help, right? So that's what we translate, like when you are doing sarf, right? Nasara means help. But it's not like help, it's more like a defense, right? Nasara means more like it has an aspect of defending, helping someone by defending them. Like regular help is like ta'yid, right? Ayyada yu'ayyidu. It's like helping, assisting someone. Defending, huh?
Making someone victorious.
Yeah.
Or a champion to help him.
Nasr, right?
Yeah.
Right, making somebody victorious, defending them in that way, right? Leading them to victory, assisting them reach their victory, right? So this is Nasr. So Wansurna, oh Allah, help us, assist us, defend us, lead us to victory. Ala al-qawmil kafirin, over the kafirun. So when a person is struggling in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what should your attitude be? Number one, seek forgiveness of past sins, right? Throughout the whole thing, you should be seeking forgiveness from past sins. And don't ever be proud of your deed, right? Because we're full of sins. As the Sahaba radiallahu anh, once when they were digging for the Battle of Khandaq, it's Hadees is in Muslim, that, it was tough, it was hard work. Everybody's digging this ditch all around Medina. And so, what do? Sometimes you sing songs when you're doing hard work, just so everybody's saying. So they wouldn't sing like Justin Bieber or something. That's for Riyadh and Jeddah, I guess. But what they do instead is they were saying poetry. So one of the poems that they said is Wallahi lawla Allahu mahtadayna wa la tasaddaqna wa la sallayna. That wallahi, if it weren't for Allah, we wouldn't have been guided, and we wouldn't have given sadaqah, and we wouldn't pray salah, right? This is what they were saying. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was saying it with them. And then like Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he also said that Allahumma la aisha illa aishul akhirah waghfiril ansara wal muhajira. That, oh Allah, there's no life but the life of the akhirah. So forgive the ansar and the muhajirun as well. Right? So, but what this is telling us that when you're doing a good deed, right? Never be proud of it, right? Because we ourselves are sinful. Number two, when we say وَثَبِّتْ أَقْدَامَنَا, وَثَبِّتْ أَقْدَامَنَا, oh Allah, make us steadfast. The fact that we're doing this gift, we're doing this good deed is only through the divine gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's tawfiq. The second Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants, He can take the ability of doing this deed away from us as well. So we shouldn't become proud that, I am giving this talk of tafseer, or I'm praying in the masjid, or I'm going in jamaat, or I'm hafiz, or I'm this, or I'm that. We shouldn't be proud that I'm giving this much money in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's path. We shouldn't do that. Why is that? The reason is the second that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants, He can take this away from us. Similarly, we should seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's forgiveness. Why do we say right after salah? What's the first thing Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam taught us to say? Astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. Because whatever good deed we do, it pales in comparison to the superiority and supremacy of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. We'll never be able to compare to Him, and thus we can never do something that's worthy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we reflect upon our own helplessness, right? In doing that. وَثَبِّتْ أَقْدَامَنَا وَانْصُرْنَا عَلَى الْقَوْمِ الْكَافِرِينَ. And the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentioned istighfar first, وَمَا كَانَ قَوْلُمْ إِلَّا أَنْ قَالُوا رَبَّنَا اغْفِرْ لَنَا ذُنُوبَنَا. It's due to, it gives us a hint that our hardships that occur to us, like it happened to the Muslims in the Battle of Uhud, it occurs because of our mistakes, our sins, etc. So now when things become hard for us, we should evaluate our life. Am I committing sins? Is it some sin that I did that's causing this and that to happen to me? Now you'll never be able to figure out 100% what the cause of something is, but you can at least make an educated guess. You can at least make tawbah. You can at least, even if that sin wasn't the cause for this or that happening, that sin could be the cause of you turning back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? And one other thing that we learned from this dua is that even if a deed, if it starts out bad, with a bad intention, we're constantly taught to evaluate our deed throughout the action, from beginning to end, right? So if you have a bad intention at the beginning, that's fine. Keep evaluating. What am I doing? Are there any shortcomings that are coming? We say, israfana fi amrina, forgive any shortcomings. Am I doing anything wrong? Do I still have the same niyyah that I had at the beginning? Did I start with a bad niyyah? Let me change it good. Did I start with a good niyyah? Has my intention turned bad? All of that we have to constantly evaluate ourselves, make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for continuous success, and at the same time make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us. Then the next ayah, فَآتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ ثَوَابَ الدُّنْيَا. For people like this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He promises rewards in this world, وَحُسْنَ ثَوَابِ الْآخِرَةِ, and beautiful rewards in the next. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, you'll get reward in this world, right? You will. مَنْ جَاءَ بِالْحَسَنَةِ فَلَهُ عَشْرُ أَمْثَالِهَا. Right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about those who believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Alhamdulillah alladhi anzala ala abdihi qayyiman liyundhira ba'sa ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا حسنا ماكثين فيها أبدا. That they'll have beautiful rewards, ماكثين فيها أبدا. They'll always be like submerged in these rewards, right? So that's not restricted just to the akhirah. You have rewards in this dunya as well, right? But the best rewards, the most beautiful rewards are in the akhirah. So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَحُسْنَ ثَوَابِ الْآخِرَةِ. And the most beautiful rewards you'll have in the akhirah. وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. And verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He loves people of excellence, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves people who strive to have ihsan at all times, who strive to do things with the knowledge Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching me, right? يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن تطيعوا الذين كفروا يردوكم على أعقابكم فتنقلبوا خاسرين. So these next few ayahs, it's coming back to the Battle of Uhud. Okay, so remember, first we're talking about the Battle of Uhud. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, look, you made a mistake, look at the people of the past, you need to follow them. Coming back to the Battle of Uhud, this next few ayahs, it's going to be connected to the previous ayahs, but it's all in the context of the Battle of Uhud. Okay? So, that's actually coming later. So over here, this is just turning back to the Battle of Uhud. So now, towards the end of the Battle of Uhud, what happened is the Muslims, they were in a cave, right? Because they were badly injured. How many Muslims died in the Battle of Uhud? Any idea?
17.
17 or?
70,
right? And how many mushrikun died? Huh? Is that 200? Did I hear 200? 37. 37 mushrikun died and 70 Muslims, they died, okay? So now many Muslims were injured, okay? Then great warriors died like Hamza radiallahu anhu, Mus'ab bin Umair. So the Muslims, they're in a cave, okay? And so Abu Sufyan, he came looking for Rasulullah. Of course he didn't climb up, but he started to call out. So he asked, is Muhammad with you? Rasulullah told us, don't respond, don't say anything. Then Abu Sufyan said, is Abu Bakr with you? Rasulullah says, don't respond. He said, is Umar with you? Rasulullah said, don't respond. This shows that, look, these two, right? Abu Bakr, Umar radiallahu anhu, they were always considered like pillars of Islam, the Shaykhain. Even the disbelievers, they realized that these were the most superior of the Sahaba radiallahu anhu. Abu Bakr, Umar, Abu Bakr, Umar. What happened on the night of Mi'raj? Who did Abu Jahl go looking for? He went looking immediately for Abu Bakr to tell him, this is what your Prophet is saying. Thinking that Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was saying that this is unbelievable, I disbelieve. He knew if Abu Bakr left Islam, all of Islam is done, right? Even the kuffar, they knew this. And you know, when Umar radiallahu anhu was killed, the hadith is narrated by Imam Razin, I'd like to say. Could be another muhaddis. Hadith is in Mishkat Sharif for sure. But who the original, which original book it came in, wallahu alam. But again, I think it's from Imam Razin, or it could be in Darimi. But anyway, when Umar radiallahu anhu passed away, Abdullah bin Abbas radiallahu anhu, he said that he was sitting by Umar radiallahu anhu's body, and somebody came, next to him, or behind him, and he put his hand on his shoulder. And he said that, Rahim Allah ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. May Allah have mercy on you, O Amir al-Mu'mineen. And may He join you with your companions. So many times I heard Rasulullah saying, Ana wa Abu Bakr wa Umar. Like kharaja Ana wa Abu Bakr wa Umar. Me, Abu Bakr, Umar, we all went out. Or, Dhahaba Ana wa Abu Bakr wa Umar. We all went out. Or we went somewhere. Again and again, anytime Rasulullah mentioned something he did, he would say, I did, Abu Bakr, Umar. To the point where Rasulullah once he mentioned a story to the Sahaba, and it seemed like it was something that was out of the ordinary. And although Abu Bakr and Umar radiallahu anhu weren't there, Rasulullah says, and Abu Bakr and Umar radiallahu anhu, they believe in it, right? This is how much trust he had on it. These people that say, na'udhu billah, bad things about Shaykhain, Allahu alam, how could their Islam be? But I knew how Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he turned around and he said, this person that was saying this and making this dua, it was Ali radiallahu anhu. Ali radiallahu anhu. People, they go out of their way to try to make this enmity between them. Did they agree about every single thing? No, that doesn't have to be the case, right? That Ali radiallahu anhu agreed with every single thing Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu did or Umar radiallahu anhu, that doesn't have to be the case. But that love, that respect, that honor, that was there. So now Abu Sufyan, when he heard this, he said, this means that they're all dead. There's no response, they're all dead. So now Umar radiallahu anhu, he couldn't tolerate this. So Umar radiallahu anhu, he called out, he said, all three of us are here and we're ready to come and destroy you and kill you, right? So then at that time, Abu Sufyan, he called out, U'lu Hubal, that Hubal, their god, is elevated. So Rasulullah said, respond. So what should we respond? He said, call out and say, Allahu A'la wa Ajal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most high and the most magnificent. So Abu Sufyan called back, Lana al-Uzza wa la Uzza lakum. We have Uzza, our idol, like وَمَنَاتَ أَفَرَأَيْتُمُ اللَّاتَ وَالْعُزَّى in Surah Najm. We have Uzza, you don't have Uzza. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told them, respond that Allahu mawlana wa la mawla lakum. Allah is our protector and you have no protector. So through this interaction, what the mushrikeen were trying to do was demonstrate to the Muslims that you're weak because of your religion and you should go back to your old faith. So these next two ayahs, what they do is they're rejecting this. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O believers, in tuti'u alladhina kafaru. If you obey the disbelievers, yaruddukum ala a'qabikum, they'll make you revert to your old ways. Fatanqalibu khasirin, and you will turn into losers. Balillahu mawlakum, no indeed. Balillahu mawlakum, no indeed, that will never be the case. Allah is your protector. Wa huwa khayrun nasirin, and He's the best of helpers, right? So now see, best of defenders. So now these two ayahs, they were revealed in the context of this interaction between Abu Sufyan and the believers. He's trying to say that this happened to you because you disbelieve in our gods. You should come back to your old ways and you wouldn't have to face such losses, right? This is something that we need to realize as well. I talked about this a lot in the khutbah today, where I talked about Yajuj and Majuj, or in English, Gog and Magog, right? And I spoke in detail. I said how that wall is long gone, right? The wall is long gone. Yajuj, Majuj, they're out. They're human beings too. They're not no Lord of the Ring characters. They're regular human beings whose qualities are spreading corruption wherever they go, through bloodshed, through manipulation, through turning people against one another, through corrupting people, and hate for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and making this world the absolute and final object of their desire. That's their qualities, right? This is Ya'juj and Ma'juj, right? Or Gog and Magog, right? And so what they try to do as well is turn people away. So now, anyway, come to this. Look at the Muslims. What happens? One big thing that happens to the Muslims nowadays, especially in post-colonialism, Muslims, they looked at, we ruled the world for 1,000 years, and now it seems that we're failing. What is the cause of our failure? And then these so-called, enlightened individuals, they say that the reason for your failure is Islam. Islam is what's holding you back. It's not compatible with the modern age. So for then, some Muslims, they begin to fall into this trap and say that we need to change, we need to revise the religion or leave the religion at home and in public life. We have to be different, we have to have several types of laws. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us this is going to happen. When you face defeats, instead of looking at your own sins and shortcomings, what you're doing is you're blaming it on Islam. And if you do this and you try to go to other ways, فَتَنْقَلِبُوا خَاسِرِينَ, you'll become the biggest losers. Allah is your helper. Reconnect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَهُوَ خَيْرُ النَّاصِرِينَ. He is the one that will give victory. When Muslims, as they say famously, when the same amount of Muslims come to Fajr that come to Jumu'ah, then see where Islam will go. But the thing is, if you look at the amount of people that come to Jumu'ah, maybe that's 10% of the population. Like some Tablighi brothers, they told me, if you want to find the Muslim population of any locality, take the number of people that come to Jummah and multiply by 10. I thought about it, like, yeah, what they're saying is probably right. Because on Eid, where do all of these people come out? Are they coming out from under some rock? No, they live here, right? So when you have people like that, then Islam will come back. It's not about changing and modernizing and weakening and cheapening and blaming the religion and diluting the religion. Rather, it's turning and connecting oneself individually, and then your family, and then your community, and then the ummah as a whole, connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's ultimately what will happen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. Now, Umar radiallahu anh, he said, the last year of his life, I mentioned this many times before, when he's heading back from Hajj, he passed by a place and he began to cry. And said, why are you crying, Umar? He said that, Amirul Mu'mineen, he said that when I was young, I was bekar, I didn't have anything to do. So my relatives, they used to just hire me to watch their sheep, watch their animals. And I wouldn't even do that right. So sometimes I'd get tired, I'd go by that tree over there, I'd go to sleep, and the animals would run this way and that way. So my father would come and he'd start to beat me. He'd say, Umar, what are you going to ever do with your life? You're never going to be anything. And Umar radiallahu anh said, then a man, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he came and he brought us Islam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He blessed us through this deen, such that now there's nobody standing between me and Allah on the face of this earth. And if we ever turn away from Islam, if we ever begin to envy the ways of others, if we ever go back to our old ways, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will disgrace us the way that He did before. And so inshallah we'll stop here. Inshallah we'll continue, inshallah. We'll see about next week. I might go somewhere. It's the holiday. But we'll see, inshallah. Otherwise, we'll start, inshallah, next time for ayah 151 of Surah Ali Imran. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah.